Hi everyone! Welcome back to another guided nature play teacher training video. Today I'm going to walk you through 3 different activities that your students can use to enhance and immerse their reading and writing learning out here in nature, and how you then can bring those experiences back into your classroom setting. If something I'm saying in these videos sparks some interest but maybe doesn't quite fit your particular classroom needs, feel free to adapt it however you like. These activities are just suggestions, and you can always make guided nature play, and by extension guided nature learning, completely your own. And with that, let's jump into these fun literacy ideas that can get your students learning out in nature. This first activity is called the talking tree, and while it's really great for older students, this activity in particular is a really great intro to literacy activity for younger primary students all the way down to young learners. The best types of trees for this activity are ones that have lots and lots of branches stretching out in different directions and hopefully crossing over each other, because that's where our magical literacy lesson is going to come into play. With some magic in your voice, explain to your students that trees can actually talk. And they do. They communicate through an underground network of fungi that we call mycelium, and they can share secrets and information with each other. But did you know that trees can also talk to us? No fungi telephone network needed. And I'll show you how. Talking trees are known to be a little bit shy, so it's best if we're really quiet so that we don't scare their secret words away. To hear what these trees have to say, let's get into the special talking tree position. Lay down with our heads near the base of our new talking tree friend, just like this one right here. And once you've laid down with your head at the base of the tree, you can stretch out your arms and your fingers and your legs on the ground. Out. You can wiggle your fingers even, stretch them to the side, just like that fungi telephone network. Now, remember everyone, we don't want to scare our talking tree friend away, so let's be really quiet. And when we're all ready, let's close our eyes tight and take a big breath in, take a big breath out, and on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, open our eyes and let's look up at the talking tree's branches and see if the talking tree is ready to start sharing some secrets with us. Can anybody find the letter A? Amazing! What about a B? B. Beautiful. This one's a little tricky. Can anybody see a C shape? It looks like this. C. Do you see a C? Wow, good job. There's one right there. Well done, class. So on and so forth. It's a little bit intuitive from there. Can anybody find the word hi? H-I? Oh, there's one. And can anybody find the word hello? H-E-L-L-O? Try to find all the different letters. Wow, well done. That's the tree saying hello to you. Everyone, give our tree a big wave back. I wonder if the talking tree knows who you are. Can anybody find their name? All of the letters in their names in the branches? How do you spell your name? Can anybody find them? My name is Allie, so A-L-L-Y. For younger students, your goal is to try to get them to start recognizing the shapes of letters. You can even get them working on uppercase and lowercase and what the difference is with those. For your really young learners who aren't spelling yet, you can get them to find shapes in the tree. That's really good practice. Can anybody find a triangle? How many sides does a triangle have? Do you see those 3 branches anywhere in the tree? What about a square? How many sides does a square have? Or a circle? What does a circle look like? Can anybody find a big circle up in the tree? For really young students, they might enjoy using those toilet paper scopes, we like to call them, or even their hands. Put it right up against their eye like a secret spyglass and get them to look up at the branches. Start at the end of the tree and work your way all the way back to the trunk. It's a lot of fun to find all the different shapes of the branches, and it's a great way to utilize the talking tree without actually having it talk to you. You can just adapt the name of this activity for the really young learners if you'd like to. For older students, the talking tree is just as effective as it is with the younger students who might be more into the magic portion. If you have a spelling test, let's just say with your grade 6s, and you want them to learn how to spell those words and memorize how to spell them, take them out to a talking tree, have them lay down, give them a chance to just relax in nature, and have them look up at the branches and practice spelling those words. This is a pretty cool example of how you can bring your students' learning out into nature and bring nature back into your classroom learning. While we're on the topic of trees and how wonderful they are for learning, let's move on to our second literacy activity, growing a poetry. Poet-tree. A poetry. This activity is obviously a lot of fun to say, but it's also really cool in how it works. The activity is pretty simple. Your students are going to help you grow a poetry in your classroom. Using either green or brightly colored paper, cut out the shape of leaves and then have your students take those and do their creative writing on it. They could write short stories or poems in or about nature. For the actual construction of the tree, I've seen it done a few different ways. One of the ways is by using a wooden dowel into a really good base and then making some branches that come off of that using other wooden dowels. I've also seen people use wire to kind of make a really cool tree-like shape and then use clothespins to attach those leaves onto your tree and fill it up. Now, let's be realistic. To make a 3D poetry, you're going to need some skills, some time, and some tools, none of which I have. So I think the best option, and I would recommend this option to you, is to use that long brown paper and to cut out the shape of a tree. You can also use brown construction paper. You just want to make sure that it has a lot of branches that they can fill out with their poems. And if you use the paper, you can tape it to the classroom wall for everyone to see, or even better, you can tape it to your classroom door. That way the students, their peers, and other teachers can watch as this poetry grows and grows throughout the year, and they can stop and read these short stories or these poems that your students have worked so hard on. So, of course, trees are something that we find in nature, and you can do all of your writing in the classroom, but a really great way to bring your classroom learning out into nature in the form of a poetry is to take those colored sheets of paper cut into leaves and have your students go out into whatever natural green space you have available, from forest to field, and use nature as their inspiration when they're writing their poems or their short stories, whatever you want to prompt them on. Give them the time to do that writing nice and quiet, nice and relaxed, out in nature. You might be surprised on how it inspires their writing. As a teacher, it might be really interesting to see how your students respond to learning in a natural environment by doing an activity like this. You might find your students' creativity is a little different when they're out in a natural environment like this, doing any sort of prompt or writing about the natural environment that they're in while they're in it. And not just creativity, what is their engagement like? Are they more excited to do a pretty standard creative writing activity when you allow them to do it in a natural space? The poetry is such a wonderful... There's a blue jay. I'm gonna write a poem about you, and it's not about to be very nice, buddy. This activity is a lot of fun and of course can be built on throughout the year. You can always return with new writing prompts or head to new places in nature. And one thing I really like about this activity, and I mentioned before about how their peers and other teachers can see it, is it's a really great way to show off their skills and their writing for things like parent-teacher night. And if other teachers see this activity and the kids are really into it, it might also be possible, maybe, to make a poetry for your school, like a really big one that you can have on a bulletin board or maybe even in the lobby that kids can keep adding to throughout the year. It's like a really cool group project that you're growing together. It's a lot of fun. There are no rules in poetry, and there are no rules in making a poetry. Let's move on to our third and final literacy activity, another one of my personal favorites, making a nature notebook. Just like with the poetry, this is a great way to get students out into nature, but also inspire their creative writing by using nature as the subject. And the way we do that is by gifting your students with their very own nature journals. There are a couple ways that you can do this. The easiest way and the quickest way is by taking some colored construction paper and putting a few sheets of blank printer paper or even loose leaf on top of that. folding it in half and then stapling down the sides. This gives you a super easy notebook. The students can decorate the front and back of it and make it their own, and you can fill up the pages just like a nature notebook. Another option that you can do, if you're able to, is to bulk buy these little spiral bound notebooks. They're really, really great. They have lined pages inside, and they have these nice solid colors, so they last a little bit longer. They also are spiral bound, so it kind of feels a little bit special. Because they have these nice blank sides, what you can do is get your students to make these really their own. Give them time to decorate them however they see fit. Get them to draw with markers or crayons, get them some stickers to use. In mine, I actually have some really cool leaves here because they're a little bit more solid in the front. You can glue things like pressed leaves or flowers, and they can really make it their own. By doing this, they're actually going to probably get a little bit more excited about using them out in nature, filling them up with their adventures, their discoveries, or your creative writing prompts. My camera died, and so it's a different day. Same sweater, hopefully same shot, different day. Let's go! For really young learners who aren't writing yet, you can get them to go out into nature and draw what they see, trees or leaves, flowers or little bugs or clouds. You can also get them to take a leaf, a really special one that they find, and put it under a sheet of paper in their nature journal, then take a crayon with the paper taken off of it on its side and rub over it, and you have a really pretty leaf rubbing that's in your nature journal to treasure. You can also get them to glue in those little treasures that they find, like dandelion petals, maybe their special leaf next to their leaf rubbing. For young learners, nature journals are still just as effective for a literacy activity, and get them really used to using those materials, which can actually help them later on in their schooling experience. For very young students who aren't writing yet but are beginning to learn their ABCs, you can use their nature notebooks to have them go out into nature and try to find something that starts with the letter A, B, C, and so on and so forth. They can practice writing out those letters and also draw some pictures of things that they can think of or things that they actually do discover. And speaking of discovery, nature journals like this are an excellent companion to any of our guided nature play, connection, or sensory activities. You can do the activities outside and then take your students back into the classroom with their nature journals and have them record some things or draw some pictures about what they saw, what they smelt, what they heard, what they touched. You can have it be any part of that experience, and then they have this really cool little collection of all of their nature adventures. As we get into older grades, nature journals are a fantastic way to start practicing writing. Have them take their nature journals outside with them and then give them a prompt or two. Have them practice writing 1 or 2 sentences, maybe about something that they see or maybe about a special leaf that they find. You could also take that leaf back inside the classroom, you can glue it into your nature journal, and then write those sentences about it inside. When thinking about how to meet your literacy goals for your older students, you're probably going to find the most success with nature journals being used for open, creative writing. I had mentioned a little bit when we talked about the poetry leaves, but magic spots are a fantastic time to utilize these notebooks for that creative writing. As I also said before, we have a whole video on how to lead magic spots and why it's so special, but magic spots are a little place in nature that is silent, solo, and sitting, where children can appreciate the magical world of nature on their own. While having their magic spot time, they can write a little reflection about what they see or hear or feel. They can also write about their magic spot, maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs describing what it's like or why they chose it. They could also write an imaginative story, a creative story about their magic spot or featuring their magic spot. They could write about what it means to them, or maybe they can work on a prompt that you're already doing in class, or take this time to work on their own creative stories just while enjoying that peaceful calm that comes with the magic spot activity. You can record some science findings. You can utilize them as an actual journal. You can just go under a tree and write about what you did this weekend. So long as it's in nature or about nature, you really can fill these notebooks up however you or your students would like. It's kind of an open book. Hey! All right, okay. You get the point. There are so many ways to bring literacy from the classroom into nature and then nature back into the classroom. Hopefully these 3 simple literacy activities gave you some inspiration about how you can bring some nature magic to your learning. Thank you so much for joining me and my special Blue Jay friends here today. We hope that you had a lot of fun, and we'll see you next time. Happy discovering. Bye! Oh, blue jay, up in your tree, why do you sit and scream at me? Your feathers blue and black and white, why is it that you want to fight? I'm trying to make a video, so please, blue jay, just fly, just go. Waxing poetic. The poetry! Hey, that was a poem for a blue jay. Just to get you started, you know? Go out there, get screamed at by a blue jay for 4 hours, and then you are gonna have some stellar inspiration.